Hello, Algebra. Let's review Chapter 9 for our final exam. So if I'm looking at this, I know that I am trying to find my vertex, building numbers, and so on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do number 1 and number 4, and we'll kind of talk about 2 and 3, and then go from there. The answers are in Schoology, so let's just review. Okay? So when I am finding my vertex, when I'm finding this vertex here, I need to take the opposite of this. Okay? So the opposite of minus 5, x minus 5, or negative 5, would be 5. Okay? And then this, my y value, is always the same number as what's being added to my x squared term. Okay? So the x comes from what's in the parentheses and what's being added or subtracted to the x before it's squared. So inside the parentheses, I do the opposite of that. And then I do the same for my y value. Okay? Again, reminder, our building numbers come from just a standard rule that my building numbers are 1, 3, and 5. And those are only our y values. We always just go over 1, up 1 or down 1, up 3 or down 3, up or down 5. What defines up or down? Well, I'll tell you that this is a down, and it's a down because of that minus sign. So that tells me if it's up or down. A positive out there, or nothing out there, would be up, and a negative would be down. So this one is down. So my building numbers, therefore, are going to be negative, negative, and negative. Okay? My axis of symmetry is where I can fold my parabola in half, and that always comes from my x value. Whatever my x value is, my axis of symmetry is equal to that. Okay, I can do all of that from the equation. I can't, although, find my solutions until I graph. So I need to graph this. All right, my vertex is 5, 4. So I'm going to go over to 5 on the x-axis and up to 4 and put it up. At that, then I'm going to do my building numbers. I need to go over to the right 1, and I'm going to go down 1 because it's negative. I'm going to go over to the right 1 and go down 3 because it's negative, which falls on the axis. And then I'm going to go over 1 to the right and down 5. And you can use your numbers on your y-axis to help you, okay? Now, parabolas are symmetric, which means that this side over here has to be exactly the same as this side over here. So from my vertex, I go over 1 to the left and down 1, just like I did to the right, over 1 and down 3, over 1 and down 5, and then I'm able to draw my parabola through my points. As I'm able to draw them, I'm sorry I missed the 3, but that's okay. The place at which the line crosses the x-axis, that, my friends, is my solution. So where did it cross? It crossed at 3 and 7. 3, 0 is one of my first, and 7, 0 is my second. 2 solutions here because the parabola crosses the x-axis twice. Okay, what about number 2? Number 2, look over here. There's nothing being added to my x squared term. So my vertex, I'm going to get what? Well, it's going to be negative 3 because it has to be opposite of 3. But since there's nothing out here, that's going to be a 0. are my building numbers going to be positive or negative? Positive. Okay, and this is going to go up. I'd like you to fill out the rest of this. Now, remember, this has two solutions. If the parabola hits and bounces off and returns, that would be a single solution where it hits. And if the parabola is way up here and never hits the x-axis, or way down here and never hits the x-axis, that would be no solution. So I'd like you to finish number 2. The answers are in Schoology, and you can check them there. Okay. Number 3, what do you notice? Where's your 0 here? Where is nothing being offered here? Well, there's nothing being added to my x inside parentheses, right? So that's my 0. And then my y is my -3. It would be the same value. Okay? You figure out the rest of this. Check your answer. And now let's talk about number 4. Now number 4 is a little bit different. It's not different for the vertex. I'm going to have -4, opposite of my 4. And my 8 comes from the same as my 8. What is different is my building numbers. My building numbers are normally 1, 3, and 5. But in this case, I need to multiply them by -2. So I'm going to get -2, -6, and -10. Okay, what's my axis of symmetry? X-axis, x equals -4. Am I going up or down? Down. I don't know my solutions yet. I need to graph. So, to graph this, I start at -4, 8. So I go over to the left 4, go up to 8, put a dot. Now from there, I'm going to do my building numbers. My building numbers are not 1, 3, 5 this time. I'm going to go over 1, and I'm going to go down 2. I'm going to go over 1, and I'm going to go down 6. Okay? I need to just move this up a little bit. I'm going to go over 1, and I'm going to go down 10. All right. From my vertex, I need to now do the other side. Over 1 to the left and down 2. Over 1 to the left and down 6. Over 1 to the left and down 10. And I can connect, and I can figure out my solutions because my vertex is above it, and my line crosses the x-axis in 2 different places. And what are those places? They are, x is at -6, 0, and -2, 0. Okay, so try the rest of these. Check your answers on Schoology. The next thing I want to talk about is the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula, remember, is this. I need to identify my A, my B, and my CR to be able to do this. In this case, it's 4, -12, and 9. And then I need to plug and chug. Opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay, what's the opposite of B? Well, if B is -12, the opposite of that would be 12. Plus or minus. B squared would be 12 squared minus 4 times 4 times 9 all over 2 times 4. Okay, and then I need to continue on this. I need to use good order of operations so that I am doing my math well. I need to not lose my plus or minus sign. I need to keep my square root sign in there. 12 squared is 144. When I multiply negative 4 times 4 times 9, I get 144. 2 times 4 is 8. Ooh, look at that. So now I've got 12 plus or minus. What's 144 minus 144? 0 divided by 8. All right. So we know some things about this space here. This is called the discriminant, remember? And when my discriminant is 0, I have one solution. When it is positive numbers, I have two solutions. So anything from 1 and higher. When it is negative, I have no solutions. Because I cannot take the negative of a square root. So in this case, I have one solution. So I'm going to do 12 plus or minus. I don't have to do both. Here's actually where I would kind of separate. So really just make this plus. Why don't I have to do both? Because the square root of 0 is 0. And 12 plus 0 is 12. And 12 minus 0 is 12. So 12 plus 0 equals 12 divided by 8. Now, here's the thing. If I do that, I'm going to either get a decimal or I could reduce my fraction. So I can divide both of these by 4 and I could get 3/2. Or if I divide 12 by 8, I could get 1.5. So both of those would be acceptable answers. Again, it would be our plus or minus of it. And there, that is my solution. And so either of those are acceptable answers. Again, when I have 0 under my discriminant, underneath my square root, I only have to do one thing. When I have a positive number, that's when I need to separate out and do the plus of it and the minus of it, okay? So you will have one example. We have two more examples. Those two examples, one of them is going to be 2 solutions and one will be no solutions. Do really good math and check your answers on Schoology. God bless.